What's up swaggers, this is Caden David here again. Today I will be interviewing Nathan David to see what is his thoughts on different Android version UIs. So these phones runs different Android versions. We have Android 1.6, Android 2.3, Android 4.0, Android 6.0, Android 9 and Android 12. I will ask his thoughts on how he thinks on Android UIs from different generations.
Yo, what's up swaggers, this is Nathan David here. And today I will rate every Android UI from the earliest era to the present era.
So let's start with Android 1.6 Donut. This Android version is the Android version that still uses the early Android UI.
So this was the Android 1.6 user interface. Pretty basic here since its early version of Android 1.6 is more of the Android 1.0 with some improvements under the hood. Nothing much special from here. Some people mocked Android 1.0 to Android 1.6 to look like Windows 95 crammed on a mobile phone.
Well, being an early version of Android, this is what you do be expecting. But I won't lie on this part, it feels that way. It feels like they crammed Windows 95 or 2000 on a phone.
I will give this user interface a 5 out of 10. It's not bad, it's understandable.
So now we are moving to Android 2.3 Gingerbread.
Honestly, this is where changes became real. Instead of that white status bar, we finally got a black one. This is the era of pre-holo. You have that lime green and some orange. Highlights. This is where the phone no longer feels like a PC crammed on a pocket size. And yes, this is also the same lock screen found on Android 2.1 Eclair. I would say this UI has such improvements over the predecessor.
Do you think this UI is pivotal? It also featured the iconic Nexus wallpaper.
I would say it is. This is the transitional era from the clunky early Android to the Android Holo. I give this a 6 out of 10. Nice improvements.
Now with Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich.
So I guess this UI feels like straight from 2050.
It really was.
And also with the holo theme on certain apps looks pretty.
It literally pops, especially if you are using a AMOLED display, which gives you deeper blacks compared to IPS displays.
Also, I cannot leave out the fact with this UI, they also treated users like professionals instead of a toddler or a senior with poor eyesight. I guess this UI deserves a lot of respect under the hood. I am giving this 8 out of 10. Amazing work.
Also, we used to play around with that lock screen slider for those who remembers using Android 4X. Anyways, here's the next Android version, Android 6.0 Marshmallow.
Honestly, the material design Google introduced since Android 5.0 is the peak Android design, to be honest. The animations made your phone felt like you have 90 Hz on a 60 Hz display. Also, the colors blends on the UI so amazingly. It feels like you have a digital paper on a smartphone display. Also, the gear icon on the quick settings. It spins. It sucks that they got rid of it since Android 7. Honestly, Android 5 to Android 6 is the peak Android user interface. Also, this Resense Apps UI. This is the best task switcher UI I ever seen. This is way better than the ones we have today and the ones iOS has since iOS 7. I do rate this Android UI 99 out of 10. This is the greatest of all time.
I won't disagree, we all loved the OG material design. It looks better than the later versions in Material U. Now with the next Android version, Android 9 Pie.
What on earth is that status bar? It looks like a replica from iOS.
Well, they have to change the layout because it's the era where phones got notches and screen cutouts.
Disgusting. The clock alignment is the same as the ones from the iPhone X.
Almost nobody got bothered though, but try looking on other areas.
The lock screen, I have nothing else to say. It's normal as it was. What on earth is this task switcher UI? This feels like they copied it straight from iOS. Looks disgusting.
Well, looks like this is the era when they copied Apple's iOS design. In fact, the changes were controversial to the point many people stayed on Android 8.1.
I am rating this user interface a 3 out of 10. Geez, what a rough era.
And finally we are going to Android 12, which is the first Android version to start the new user interface we still have, Material You.
Looks more like Android 9, so what's with Material You?
Try browsing the UI.
Oh my god, what on earth is this notification shade? The icons took up 60% of my display, disgusting. What? This lock screen clock. This is too big, it took 90% of my screen. Kate and David, I need to.
Oh my god, are you even okay, Swagger?
Gosh, whoever designed this lock screen for Android 12. Nobody wants this big of a clock like this. This is for seniors who have poor eyesight, not for the general user.
I see why you literally threw up earlier.
Okay, that's enough. I can't take this anymore. This is just straight up disgusting that it makes me wanna throw up again. Honestly, I am rating this Android UI -1 out of 10. It has to be the worst user interface of all time, where it treats its users as seniors who have poor eyesight or as toddlers who got their first smartphone. Honestly, this Android user interface shouldn't be called Material You, but more like you. This interface is such an insult, honestly.
Not gonna lie, people actually hated this new user interface called Material You. You weren't alone. Also, you had a higher roasting IQ for calling it a F-bomb you because it was an insult to the enthusiasts. I see why you threw up earlier due to disgust, but that's alright, man. So since we are finished on rating every Android user interfaces from different eras, here is the verdict. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Have fun.
This is us, signing off. Goodbye.